Welcome to the Kurt Saxon Show, your countdown to the future. First, I want you to take down my phone number in case you want to call. The number is 501-437-2963. In case you didn't get it, here it is again, 501-437-2963. Sorry, but we can't accept collect calls. Tonight's topic is Hunger in America from Volume 8 of The Survivor. It was printed in 1990. Last week, PBS aired a weird program entitled Hunger in America. It was weird because not one of the families shown as examples of hungry Americans were destitute. They all had living quarters, some had jobs and even land, and each had the money or food stamps which should have provided them with a more than adequate diet. The commentator was in full sympathy with those hungry people and lamented the fact that nothing more was done. I watched this bizarre exhibition of the helplessness of the otherwise able and heard the titty of the "there but for the grace of God go I" crowd. I harked back to tales of other starvelings. In 1845, the Irish potato blight raged and hundreds of thousands starved in the resulting famine. Yet it was found that on farms where whole families had starved, the barns held corn, oats, rye, and barley in the cattle and feed bins. In France and Belgium, millions were starving after World War I. America sent boatload after boatload of corn, and the people were insulted at being sent food for horses and cattle. Stalin deliberately starved millions of kulaks in the 30s. When his henchmen moved in to cart off the bodies of the rebellious farmers, there too was found plenty of grain in the feed bins. Of course, the livestock had been eaten, but the livestock's food was not considered fit for humans to eat. That people would starve to death before eating corn is a misleading concept. Had the corn been ground and made into cornmeal mush, those people would have survived, but they simply didn't relate to corn as food. Of course, you've heard of the African Bushmen and the Australian Aborigines. They can thrive where Europeans wouldn't see any food at all, but that's an extreme. The point is that people tend to see as food only that which they are accustomed to eating. The people on the program were accustomed only to prepared foods bought at the supermarket. One couple with 4 kids got $390 a month in food stamps. The man was an auto mechanic who had quit work since he couldn't afford his wife's medical expenses, and his loafing would entitle her to Medicare. They had 4 children and lamented the fact that the $390 in food stamps were all used up before the next month's dole. Oh, you know food prices today and how $390 for a family of 6 doesn't go far. I don't suppose they spent every bit of it on TV dinners and in the deli section. Nonetheless, to a survivalist family, $390 would buy about 4 months' food for 6, maybe more. That reminds me of 1967 when I was a bum in San Francisco. I was living in a $10 a week sleeping room and worked off and on as a fry cook and a freelance house painter. For a no-sweat $5 a week, I was selling my blood and so contracted infectious hepatitis. That's a very debilitating illness, and its effects last about a month when not fatal. Anyway, although I was barely able to get around, I couldn't work. I wasn't hospitalized since the illness wasn't communicable except through dirty needles, as in my case. But the hospital gave me some pills and arranged for me to get welfare. To a single person with what I had, short term, the welfare people paid my rent and gave me a $6 food voucher every week. With that food voucher, I bought sugar, yeast, cheap fruit, margarine, pinto beans, bacon ends, cornmeal, raisins, rice, canned milk, and odds and ends. Quite a box of food for only $6 even then. I had a hot plate I bought earlier in a Salvation Army store for $1 and odd pots and pans. One of my favorite dishes was rice and raisins and canned milk. Delicious, nutritious, and cheap. Of course, $6 wouldn't go that far now, but I'd do just as well on its equivalent today. Notice I didn't buy any prepared food, nothing in cans or ready to eat. The sugar, yeast, and fruit was for booze. I started in several 1-gallon wine bottles. 5 days later, and from then on, I had all the booze I wanted and just as good as store-bought. Another group on the program interviewed was a farm worker who had fathered 15 children. Only 8 were at home. He had a wife and 8 children living with him. His wife was preparing boiled bologna and rice. They were hungry. Yet he was shown plowing around onions and some kind of greens. The children, strapping, albeit ill-favored, were shown in the yard. Behind them was a great stand of weeds. Now, why didn't the man use from the field he was cultivating, as was his right? Why weren't his children cultivating a garden? These people didn't want to be hungry. Obviously, he spent his food budget on food which was cheap enough but too expensive to supply 10 people. But again, why didn't the man have a garden for all those children to work? Naturally, the narrator never mentioned the fact that too many children born to incompetence was a major contributing factor to hunger and most other social and economic ills. The farm worker and his brood were in Alabama, but I've seen the same thing in Appalachian coal country on other programs. Run-down shacks with whole families of unemployed adults and their many children loafing on the porch. No gardens. They were hungry too, as the narrator of that program gloated in an attempt to make the viewers feel guilty. Another family in hunger in America was Mexican migrant farm labor. The father was heavy and the others were sturdy-looking. Of course, they wouldn't have much choice in food from the fields, since stuffing oneself with cucumbers for a week would hardly make a balanced diet. I suppose they also had inadequate living quarters and kitchen facilities. Maybe they didn't even have a supermarket close by. Even so, they could have bought masa in bulk for making tortillas and pinto beans by the 25-pound sack, and with gleanings could have eaten as well as if they were earning their equivalent in Mexico. But as it was, they didn't speak English, migrant labor was their lifestyle, and they had chosen, directly or indirectly, to live on a day-to-day basis. They simply lacked the adaptability to make that lifestyle as efficient as it could have been. Another family on the program owned a dairy farm. They weren't doing very well at it, so they were hungry. But with even a small dairy, they had milk, and from it, butter, buttermilk, cheese, and yogurt. There were no chickens in evidence, although several dozen could have lived off spilled feed and undigested grain in the cow lot. Why weren't they supplied with chickens and eggs? Where was their garden? In all these cases, there was no reason for hunger, but each family was too ignorant of food as such to prepare nourishing meals from cheaper, more basic ingredients. Instead, they unrealistically paid others to process their foods. Consequently, they could afford only about a third of the food they would have had they processed it themselves. A while back, I read a Reader's Digest article on hunger in America. Their argument was that there was no reason for hunger here, as I pointed out. But their idea was that those who weren't eating as much as they needed was because they didn't know where to apply for more aid. What amazed me was that neither the narrator of the program nor the writer of the article considered educating such people in simple home economics. Knowing how to cook and knowing what foods give energy would have enabled them to shop for foods which would have been cheaper but more filling and more nutritious. Several years ago, this idea was brought home to me while watching a local San Francisco news story on malnutrition among the aged there. Featured was an old man on a fixed income who ran out of food about a week before his next Social Security check was due. He was shown cooking his supper. His main course was Canadian bacon. In case you aren't familiar with it, it was in a roll rather than slice. It cost 3 times as much as regular bacon. He was buying gourmet food on his income from Social Security. That's the problem with the families on the program. They were buying, in effect, gourmet food on welfare budgets. No wonder they were underfed and malnourished. Most of us have seen people paying with food stamps for TV dinners, steaks, and other highly processed foods. They just don't know how to buy food. All they know about food is what they see on TV. If they can't afford it, if they spend all they have on what intelligent wage earners can't afford, no wonder they're hungry. But the bleeding hearts would only have us give them more money. For them to eat like they must, if they can't economize like the rest of us, we might as well give them all food vouchers to take all their meals at fancy French restaurants. It won't work. As things get worse, they'll starve. More rational sympathizers might suggest TV programs hosted by rock and roll stars, Jim and Tammy Baker, and sports heroes to keep their attention, demonstrating the buying and preparation of inexpensive and nutritious foods. Of course, this would have to be on PBS, which they never watch. Otherwise, the makers of Captain Stupid's Sugar Breakfast Crunchies would protest, along with all the other advertisers of the equally debilitating carcinogens and brain-rotting delectables morons have been sold as staples for years. The point is, millions of Americans are so ignorant about food that without the media, they wouldn't know what to eat at all. And with the inevitable rise in food prices and cuts in welfare, those millions are going to starve. But that's not the half of it. Next time you go to the supermarket, look at the foolish people with their carts piled to overflowing with expensively packaged foods hardly fit for human consumption. One doesn't have to be a health nut to shudder at what most of that does to the body and brain. Most people who make good livings don't know any more about staple foods and their preparation than do the welfare morons. This is because in our prosperous culture, food is usually taken for granted. Urbanites really had no time and seldom the facilities for preparing foods from basic staples. Also, not too long ago, food's cheapness, even processed and packaged, made it impractical for the homemaker to process staples. But now, with the rising costs of food, energy, packaging, etc., food has become a major budget outlay. Therefore, it's becoming more practical to buy in bulk and process one's own food. But since Granny baked bread weekly, made sausages in the fall, had a kitchen garden even in the city, and distrusted canned foods, people have suffered a kind of cultural amnesia concerning food. So people are hungry in the midst of plenty, and fewer people are left to pass on the basic techniques to fewer people who care to learn them. I was fortunate in having nothing but peasant ancestors who were too poor to hire commercial food processors to prepare their food. In my misspent youth, I never hungered because I knew food and how to prepare it. This ability really came in handy when I had the accident which damaged my hand and left me nearly blind for months. In 1970, I was getting $87 per month county welfare. My little apartment cost $50 a month, leaving me only $37 a month for food and incidentals. I spent less than $5 a week on food and ate better and tastier foods than I had when I could afford anything I wanted. Most of the processes I knew and developed then are in the Survivor Volume 1. They'll guarantee anyone an abundance of nutritious food for about a quarter of today's food prices. This book is the most important in my whole line and could save you enough to afford all my books and tapes with a couple of months' savings. Many of the processes are shown in my tape, The Poor Man's James Bond Strikes Again. The information was given there to illustrate the fact that the embattled survivalist can hold out almost forever with the right kind of food supplies. Without such foods, any survival program may fail. Unfortunately, less than half of my subscribers have bought Survivor Volume 1. Some take pride in having stocked up on commercial survival foods, a snare and a delusion which will doom many. This is because such foods are simply stored. They don't increase in food value as do grains used for sprouting. They need no processing except for adding water. They also cost up to 10 times what I recommend and are not nearly so good tasting or nutritious. The worst thing about them is that the survivalist doesn't learn the skills ensuring survival on a long-term basis. Without such knowledge and skills, the survivalist will be useless to his neighbors and so may be driven from the community when his supplies run out or are looted. On the other hand, unprocessed foods are the last items a looter would want or would even recognize as food. Not nearly so portable and lootable as the neatly packaged and labeled meals like Mountain House freeze-dried foods, for instance. Another class of survivalists are those fixated on weaponry and personal defense, and maybe offense. That type saddens me as they are incomplete and also contributes to the negative side of survivalism. The media image of the survivalist is a camouflage-clothed dingbat living in a hole in the ground and waving guns at everybody. I made up the term, and that's not my definition. But all too many of my readers seem to try to live up to it. But the arms-crazy type won't make it. Banditry is self-defeating. Say you take food by force from 1, 2, maybe 3 families. Logic and the law of average should show you that you're only working your way to a real survivalist who will destroy you. Bandits are just as dependent as any other losers. You must be self-sufficient in many areas in order to survive the coming collapse. And self-sufficiency in food is the most basic and most important survival skill. Surprisingly, self-sufficiency in food is the simplest and also the most profitable survival skill. As shown, it will take care of you now and save over half your food bill. When it becomes an absolute necessity, you'll be among the most valued members of your community. So sure, there's hunger in America. There will be more, and only those who have become independent of the food conglomerates will be prepared for a future which will do millions. Okay, here I am again. The phone number is 501-437-2963. That's 501-437-2963. Now, last night, the shotgun news was mentioned, and I have a copy here, and I'd like to tell you something about it. It's a supermarket of weaponry. It's an over 150-page catalog of ads for guns, ammunition, reloading supplies. Anything you want you can get from dealers through this publication. They sell it through the, well, mainly UPS. Oh, here's a call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yeah, good evening, Kurt.
Good evening.
Greetings from New Jersey.
Well, thank you.
Could you tell me how to get the Survivor Volume 1?
Yes. Well, if you're not a subscriber to the U.S. Militia or Shoestring Entrepreneur, just send $18 plus $4 postage and handling, because it weighs 2.5 pounds. It's got over 270 pages in it, and it will do everything. It is a fantastic book. It's fun reading. It's got every kind of, well, lots of arts, crafts, cottage industries, a whole section on food processing, sprouting, everything.
That's really interesting. You really got me thinking. Could you give that address, please?
Yes, it's P.O. Box 95, Alpena, A-L-P-E-N-A, Arkansas, 72611.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome. Bye-bye. Now, if you should subscribe to Shoestring Entrepreneur or U.S. Militia, you'd get that book and all of my other books and tapes at 10% off. And the Shoestring Entrepreneur subscription costs $15, and you'll get a whole bunch of back issues of The Survivor at no cost. And the U.S. Militia costs $35, and you'll start with the first 3 issues, and you'll get 9 more as they come out. And with either subscription, you'll get 10% off on all my books and tapes. Now back to the shotgun news. Like I said, it's a regular supermarket of weaponry, and it only costs $20 a year for 36 issues. And now I want you to take this down. I hope you people have your pencils and paper ready, because all through the program here, people will be calling in, telling you all kinds of good stuff you should check out. So the address for the shotgun news is P.O. Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska. That's NE 68902, and that's $20 for 36 issues. That's 1 year. It comes out about 3 times a month. And you would really love it, and it would calm any of your fears about not getting weapons, because you just, if you're afraid about your weapons, just buy them through the shotgun news and hide them. No problem at all. But don't worry about not getting any kind of weapon you want. So now, again, if you want these tapes, they're $25 postpaid for a week's shows, or $6 each. And you send to Jeffries Audio, P.O. Box 326, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. And again, my phone number is 501-437-2963. And again, whoops, another phone call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hello, Kurt. I've been listening to your show for a while. It's been a lot of fun.
Good.
Yesterday, you were talking about your Corona grain mill, and then a fellow called up about, he said he owned one,
yeah,
and you sort of got sidetracked a little bit. How much can you grind with it at one time, and could you describe its operation a little bit more?
Well, you can grind, it holds about a pound, and you can grind about a pound in 5 minutes. once you learn how to do it. It doesn't take you long to learn how to do it.
Okay, and you buy your grains from like a feed store then?
Yes, it's best to buy them from the feed stores. You can order them through any health food or natural food store, but they're a lot more expensive. Just go to your seed and feed store. It doesn't matter where you are. There's somebody that has livestock in your area.
So you're buying it for your horse, right?
No. You can say you're buying it. I tell people in Harrison I'm buying it for me.
Okay.
It's none of they don't care. They're good people. They want to sell it. They don't care what you want to do with it. But you specify untreated seed. Of course, it has on the bag untreated seed. The treated seed is reddish. It's got some kind of poison on it to keep the little bacteria from eating it when you plant it.
Okay, those are for planting rather than for eating.
Yes. So you just specify untreated seed. But don't worry about saying you want it for yourself. You can also ask, well, will it sprout? Except corn won't sprout. Don't buy corn for sprouting unless it's non-hybrid corn.
Okay, so you said $30 for your
no,
mill?
It's $40 for the mill plus $4 UPS, and make sure you give me your delivery address. And as soon as I get your order, I call it into Utah with your name and your phone number. They like to have your phone number for UPS just in case anything goes wrong, and they ship it right out. Now, it weighs 11 pounds, and it's very sturdy. It was made for Colombian peasants, and it'll never break unless you want to break it with a sledgehammer. It'll last you all your life, and it guarantees your survival. I know that's a lot to say, but if you have a Corona grain mill, any kind of grain you got, you're going to feed your family.
Okay, and the next thing besides food is water.
Yeah.
I live in Florida where the water table is not very far down.
Yes.
However, the water is somewhat salty. Do you know of any ways? For example, we have hurricanes here, and immediately afterwards, or right before, grocery stores completely bought out of anything that looks like a plastic jug.
Well, if you have electricity, and what you should have anyway is what is this thing a water still, actually. I'm thinking of still, but there's in the Sears catalog, they don't call it a still. It's a desalinator. It's a simple term. A water purifier, yes.
Okay.
It's a water purifier, and it's not called a distiller. That's why I had trouble finding it at Sears. But for about $95, you can get one that'll hold a gallon of water, and you can put water. It can be really bad water. It'll kill all of the bacteria in it. It will take all of the. It will leave back all of any dirt or salt. So you've got your water purifier there for about $95, and also it's great to put your wine in to get alcohol.
Right.
See? So it's a very good investment, and you get it from your Sears catalog.
And the other thing that I would add to that list would be a large pressure cooker for canning, also for cooking beans.
Yes. A pressure cooker is very good because it saves a whole lot of money in heat. You know, water boils at 212 degrees, and as I remember, in a pressure cooker, it goes up to a little over 400 degrees.
Right.
And it cooks your food in about half to a third of the time, depending on what you're cooking. So you spend less time in the kitchen, you spend less energy, you spend less water, everything. A pressure cooker is well worth the cost, and everyone should have one.
Okay, so pretty much if you store beans and grains and have a source of water, I think you're pretty much set then.
You're in good shape, yes. You can even help your neighbors, too, because you'd be the last one they'd want to hurt.
Okay. Now, you say you've got Survivor Volume 1 for $18.
Yes.
This other guy that's...
Also, well, we got Volume 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, there's 4 volumes.
Oh, yes. I'm working on 5 now, and then I've got 6, 7, and 8 ready to do as soon as I have time. And they retail at $18, but if you subscribe to Shoestring Entrepreneur for $15, you get a bunch of back issues of the loose issues of the Survivor, plus you get 10% off on all of my books and tapes.
Okay. So I'd want to go and send off for Shoestring Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
The subscription, right?
Yeah. And volume 1 of the others, and if you've got quite a bit of money, just go for broke and send $16.20 instead of $18 for the individual volumes of the Survivor. Also, you might consider Granddad's Wonderful Book of Chemistry, which has it's a companion not only to the Poor Man's James Bond, but to the Survivors, because it gives you all kinds of home processing of all sorts of things.
Okay. Then the final question I had for you was just recently I was in a magazine store, and I picked up a copy of Soldier of Fortune just to read it for the heck of it.
Mm-hmm.
And inside of it I find an ad for essentially your Poor Man's James Bond, and they're selling it for like $12.
Yeah, well, I got mixed up with that guy, and that's the last I'm going to have to do with him.
So that's not a real thing, or?
Well, it's the real book. So you go on and order it from him if you like. If you order it from me, it'll cost you $16.20 if you're a subscriber.
Right.
So this would save you a few bucks if you want to order it from him.
Oh no, basically, it's just one volume. I was under the impression.
Well, that's all he's got, and that's all he's going to get.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I hope so.
I certainly would want to support your radio show anyway. It's much more fun being able to listen to you.
Yeah.
This may be the
well,
same thing.
if you're short of funds, I mean, if you order volume 1 from him, it's the same as you'd get from me.
Right. It doesn't say
I'm
volume 1, it just says it's that book.
Yeah. I don't resent anybody buying my books from wherever they can get them, except if you buy my books from Paladin or Desert, Delta, Lumpanix, Buto Kukai, you're going to get the pirated editions at their newsprint, and they're far inferior to what I sell. Also, they cost a good deal more.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's good to know that there's a whole variety of different versions of that around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you make sure that you're going to get the real one from me. But that one in the ad, that is the real one.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was, do you know anything about solar ovens?
Yes, incidentally, there's a solar oven in the back issues of the Survivor that you'll get.
Now, I had a Boy Scout field book, and it had a way of building one of those, and I thought that would be real nifty.
Yes, well, the whole plans are there. Tells you all about it.
So basically you make them yourself?
Yes, yes.
Well, this sounds like a good project. And so the mills they're not a limited number, so...
Oh, no, you buy... They're never going to run out, because they did have trouble. When you're dealing with a foreign country, especially South America, you're going to have all kinds of trouble, and they did have all kinds of trouble. So they just ordered as much as they could possibly afford, so they have a very good stock.
Okay, so that sounds like it's a good deal. Well, I guess I'm going to send off a letter to you and get going and get ready.
Okay.
Like fun.
Sure enough.
Bye.
Okay, bye for now. Okay, again, my phone number is 501-437-2963. Now, if you'd like to order the introductory packet for $10, which includes U.S. Militia, that's the sample copy, a sample copy of Shoestring Entrepreneur, and the David Koresh's Last Testament, which is a collector's item, just send $10 to P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. And you'll get that packet pretty soon, and that'll tell you about all of my books and tapes, and also you'll get a $5 discount on either subscription. So the whole thing will cost you only about $5, and you'll get a great amount of fun reading there, and it'll really get your mind going because there's so much to think about. So my phone number again is 501-437-2963. And as I told the man, we've got 4 volumes of the Survivor out already, and you'd especially love Volume 4 because it has Mackenzie's 10,000 recipes from 1865. That tells you all about how your great-great-grandparents did everything. You could even set up a business on something like that. Oh, here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yes, I've listened to you just a couple of times, and I do want to order the $10 pack, but tell me how to make the checkout.
Well, to Kurt Saxon.
Okay, and well, I would just listen to you a time or two.
It's
and then
K-U-R-T.
K-U-R-T, okay.
S-A-X-O-N.
All right, I was going to spell it with a C. Okay.
It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter.
Okay. All right, thanks so much.
You're very welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, again, my phone number is 501-437-2963. So about that grain mill, everybody should have one. It should be a staple in your house. You can, when you start working with grains, like for instance, you can buy 50 pounds of corn for about $3.50. You can buy 64 pounds of wheat for about $7.33. And about 56 pounds of rye for $7.33. And so that's it's 166 pounds of fantastic food for under $20. For under $20, and you can not only grind it, but you can sprout it, except for the corn. Now, the problem with the corn and sprouting is that the corn is hybrid, because hybrid corn is a lot easier to grow, probably better yields, and anyway, that's what the farmers use now. And the problem with hybrid corn is that it doesn't sprout very well. So farmers, when they're going to buy it to plant it, then they got to spend about $1 a pound for it. But when you buy it at the feed store, it costs about $3.50 for 50 pounds. And at any rate, it's great for cornbread. For instance, if you price cornmeal in the store, it costs them 28 cents a pound for regular cornmeal, which has the germ taken out of it, so it'll be preserved longer, up to 40 cents a pound for whole corn with the germ left in. But if you buy corn for $3.50 for 50 pounds, and you have your Corona grain mill, it costs you only 6 cents a pound. Now, 10 ounces of that corn will make you about 3.5 pounds of cornmeal mush for under 2 cents a pound. We'll talk about that later. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Oh, Mr. Saxon.
Hello.
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 Can you hear me, sir?
I can.
All right, my name is Gil. I'm calling from Georgia.
Okay, Gil.
Listen, last week you had said that you were thinking about changing your time an hour later.
Well, I'm thinking now of just buying up that time.
Well,
if they could arrange it, then I'll be on 2 hours instead of 1.
Oh, and you're still going to keep this time slot here?
If I can. I've heard from so many people that the hour ahead is a little, the atmosphere gets in the way. But
I was going to mention to you, I understand WWCR, they broadcast this 5810 to the north and to the west, so it's kind of hard to get in this area after about 8 o'clock.
Yes.
So I'd appreciate it if you stay on it around 7.
Well, I've been thinking of just staying where I am and hopefully buying up the other time slot when the other guy relinquishes his. But they don't really know whether they can arrange that or not. If he relinquishes his and there's no prior commitments, which they don't think there is, then when that happens in about 6 weeks, then I'll be on for 2 hours.
Oh, that's great.
And if you can't hear me well in the last time, well, at least you get a chance at me at this time.
Oh, that's true. Well, I've been listening to you since the second day you've been on the air and really enjoy it.
Well, I'm glad that you sent for the packet.
Yes, I did send for the packet.
Have you got it yet?
No, I use a remailing service through Pennsylvania, and I haven't received it yet, but I expect it'll be coming at any time.
Well, you ought to get your mail sent direct, because as things are going now, you've got to give the post office every chance that you can get.
Well, see, we travel all the time, and
okay, so I understand.
we have to get our mail at one location and have it sent in when we can.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tell you we enjoyed listening to you, and keep up the good work.
Well, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, now the phone number again is 501-437-2963. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of cornmeal mush. Hillbillies in the South have lived on cornmeal mush, especially during the Depression. You simply take 2 cups of ground cornmeal. Whoops, I'll get back to that. Kurt Saxon here.
Yes, I wanted to tell you, we made an order for the grain mill.
Yeah.
And we didn't write the phone number on it. I didn't hear that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. The phone number is, the people in Utah like to have the phone number in case somehow the UPS can't deliver it. They have had that problem occasionally.
Okay, well, we ordered your pack and the grain mill, and we made the trip out just to you.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Kurt Saxon here again. My phone number is 501-437-2963. Now, back to cornmeal mush. You just take 5½ cups of water and put it in the crock pot. Now, you ought to have a crock pot. They cost about $20 for a 4 or 5 quart crock pot, and you turn that sucker on and leave it, and it's fantastic. You can get it at any Walmart. You can get it anywhere, actually. But it's better to cook it in the crock pot because it doesn't stick so much. You put it on your regular stove under a fire, and you've got all that problem. You've got to stir it and mess with it. But anyway, with 5½ cups of water, cold, you put that in the crock pot, and then you pour in 2 cups of ground cornmeal, and you stir it, and put in a teaspoonful of salt, and then you let it cook for about 2½ hours. Well, you'll know because when it reaches the top, when it swells up, then it's done. And then you take and you pour it out in a regular Teflon-coated cake pan or a grease pan, and let it set for a little while, and then it will congeal. And then you put it out on a board or whatever, and you can slice that and fry it in a frying pan with grease, and it is delicious. It is nutritious, it's filling, and it costs you less than 2 cents for a pound of fantastic food. Here's a call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yeah, Mr. Saxon, I've been listening to you a few nights here.
Yeah.
I have a question about the grain mill. There's no electrical apparatus connected with that anyway, is there?
No. It's purely a hand mill, and you are not supposed to put any kind of belt on it.
Uh-huh.
Now, do you have a stout wife?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a stout wife?
No, I don't.
Do you have a stout teenager?
No, I'm a little stout myself, maybe.
Okay, then there'd be no problem at all. But it's so much easier to get other people to do it.
Uh-huh.
But like I said, well, I can grind a pound of corn to fine flour in just 5 minutes. So you don't need to. You're not going to be there all day.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it while you're watching TV. If
okay, now it's next check to you, Kurt Saxon.
Yeah.
$44 total.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And now it will come to you from Utah. See, when I get the order, I call it into Utah. They're open Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I've asked them to include one of their own catalogs, which is just chock full of very interesting and reasonably priced food processing devices. And see, it's a Mormon company. It's not a religious company, but they just happen to be Mormons. And they have this food program. They're just trying to help people to be able to save their food dollar and also last through the coming chaos, which they know about too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, sir. I think that about covers it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye. Anyway, with your grain mill, you can grind just about anything you want. You can even hull sunflower seeds. And what I've got, if you subscribe to the Shoestring Entrepreneur, you'll get one issue. Well, you'll get many back issues of the Survivor, but there's an article there that tells how to make a screen. You take a regular window screen, plastic or otherwise, and glue it to a wooden frame, and then you grind it over that. I'll get back at that. Hello, Cook Saxon here.
Good evening, Mr. Saxon.
Good evening.
This is Bernice from Louisiana.
Oh, Bernice, glad to hear from you.
Well, this is my second call this week.
That's all right.
I don't mean to upstage you, sir.
You're not.
Because food preservation, and as I remarked the first time I called, that I have been doing this for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And quite interesting about your cornmeal mush.
Yes.
In Louisiana, and this is strictly, we can claim this in Louisiana, the Cajuns call it couscous.
Yes.
And you take your dry cornmeal and you put a pinch of baking soda and salt, and in a heavy cast iron skillet with cooking oil.
Yeah.
And of course you wet your cornmeal, not soppy, but just moisten it, and put it in this skillet, and you fry it.
My goodness.
And you mash it down, and you'll get a crunchiness on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and the aroma from that is just heaven. I always said that if I could bake cornbread that had that fragrance, I'd be in business.
Well, I never heard of that.
Mm-hmm. They call it, the French people call it couscous and caillé.
Yeah.
And what it means is that it's just kush and clabber.
Yeah.
But I prefer to eat mine with sweet milk and some put sugar on it.
Yeah.
And it's good anytime, you know?
And I get you started out for the day, doesn't it?
Yes, and I'll have to send you the recipe.
I would love that. I will print it in the next Shoestring Entrepreneur.
And something, too, about canning food, that it's my understanding that some of the larger glass makers have relocated to Mexico. So that will leave us short on canning jars.
Yes.
And what will come back up from Mexico, these jars won't be empty. And, of course, I save most jars that a mason lid, the screw top will fit.
Yeah.
Well, now, some of them now that I find that are just about a fraction of an inch too small or too large.
Yeah.
So perhaps some of the listeners, the ladies, can start making flea markets or garage sales and buying up canning jars.
That's a good idea.
And because I feel that there will be a scarcity
Yes.
in this, and perhaps I know that with your literature there are pictures, descriptions of the materials or the items that they will need to prepare the food,
Yes, yes. Well, now, Walmart and most other department stores or discount stores do carry canning supplies and jars.
Yeah.
Now, you may be right that they might finally be in short supply. I don't know if the Kerr Glass Company has moved to Mexico.
Well, now, I know that Ball is still, I received some free literature and some discount coupons from Ball.
Yes.
But I must mention this, that, if you're a novice buying second-hand canning jars, be certain that you run your finger around the top of the jar to see that there are no nicks on the top of the jar.
Yes.
Because if there is just a slight nick, you will not get a good seal on that jar.
Mm-hmm.
And then hold them up to the light, and especially on the bottom, to see if they've been slightly cracked.
Yes.
So, examine the jar closely, and then don't pay 25 cents or 50 cents for a jar, because that's too much.
Yeah.
So, however, that's my input for the night.
Well, I would sure love that recipe for tush.
All right, and I have several others, and if I come across them, because I've been acquiring these and for a number of years. And
Well, what I like are recipes for foods that are cheap and taste good. See, my main problem with the American woman today is she says, why, that stuff, the kids wouldn't eat it. But if she's any kind of cook, she can make it taste good.
Well, you know, we have this problem with our young children that they have never been exposed to just down-home basic cooking.
No, they haven't.
But you know, in Louisiana, we do try to cook and make anything taste good. I always say that if you lived in Louisiana and things were scarce throughout the rest of the world, you'd never go hungry in Louisiana.
I believe that.
And it's true.
I know it.
So I enjoy your program.
Well, I'm glad.
And I'll send you the recipe.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Now, incidentally, cornmeal mush is a wide favorite of the Italians, and they call it polenta. Maybe you've heard of that. And it's true. Well, let me give my phone number again. It's 501-437-2963. Most people don't know when food tastes good. I remember when I was a little child, on the way to church, Mama would always buy us either a 5-cent hot dog or a 5-cent hamburger, and they were bigger and better than what you pay $1.25 for now, and they were delicious. And I had yet to taste a modern hot dog that's fit to eat. And when I go to a restaurant, no matter where we go, the food is usually bad. It doesn't taste good. And I was, when I was on the Jerry Springer show, I had my food voucher there, and I went to a real ritzy restaurant in that hotel, and I ordered something. I think that the meal cost about $27, and I'm telling you the truth, it wasn't fit to eat. And I just wonder how those rich people can stand to live, because the food they pay for is garbage. Oh, I'd feed it to the dogs, yes, because they'll eat anything. But I would not eat that stuff that they charge a lot of money for, because people don't know how to prepare food so it tastes good anymore. And you've got it. Well, one of the oldest memories a person can have is flavors and odors. And I can tell by either smelling or tasting a hot dog that it's trash. Now, the big problem with that is that they have to put so much preservatives and stuff to make it hold its shelf life. Whereas when I was a child, then they made things for local consumption, and they didn't put all these preservatives in it, and the food was delicious. And even though my mom was no kind of good cook, the food was very good. But she could outcook any modern chef. Of course, it's not the modern chef's fault. It's just that he doesn't have the good food to cook anymore, because it's all so messed with. But you start processing your own food, and you're going to find flavors and tastes that you didn't know existed, and they're going to be good. And you'll enjoy eating the food that you don't hardly pay anything at all for. So I'm waiting for a call here. So the phone number is 501-437-2963. And if you'd like the introductory packet, for $10 you get a sample issue of U.S. Militia, a sample issue of Shoestring Entrepreneur, and the Koresh Last Testament, and that will give you a $5 refund on either subscription. And if you like the tape, just send to Jeffrey's Audio, P.O. Box 326, Alpena, Arkansas 72611. They're $6 a piece. They're $25 for a week's shows. Here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hi. I got a question. We have a little grain mill, and we were wanting to do some of our own grains, and we went to a granary to try and buy some grain, and they said that it wasn't fit for human consumption, and we couldn't buy it from them.
Well, what?
Buy it from them anyway, or is there someplace else we can buy it, or how do you do that?
Well, I don't know why they would say such a thing as that, because if you go to a feed and feed store, if it's fit enough for your cattle or your horses, it should not be unfit for you, because no farmer in his right mind would buy corn or wheat or whatever for his livestock if it wasn't fit to eat.
Well, we had a farmer friend, and we asked him, about where to get it. He said go to the granary, and he said tell him you want to use it, to eat yourself.
Yeah.
And so my wife told him that, and they wouldn't sell it to her for that.
Well, I think it was probably an ignorant clerk there that didn't know anything.
So then what you're saying is that any grain you buy at a granary for animals would be fit for humans?
Yes, of course, because if it is from a reputable granary, it's winnowed out, so there's nothing in there except the pure grain, and they don't pick it up off the ground with all kinds of garbage in it.
Mm-hmm. Are there any preservatives they put in it?
They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to. The only thing you got to make sure of is that it's untreated.
Untreated by what?
Well, untreated by pesticides. It's not
like
planting grain.
Or something? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, there's a difference between seed grains and planting grains.
Right.
Planting grains are treated.
Right.
This is to eat yourself.
So if you buy it for feed for animals,
yeah,
it'd be okay for feed for humans too.
Yes, it's what it has. The treated grains has fungicides in it to kill the fungus. And you don't feed that to your cattle, but it's true. It's
anything that you would feed to your cattle, you could eat too.
Well, that's right, because if it's going to make you sick, it'd make your cattle sick too, and the cattle are more important than people. Well, it's from a farmer's viewpoint. I mean, if that clerk had told him that it wasn't fit for humans, he would not feed Bessie with that.
Really?
Of course. Would you?
Well, I don't know. I just kind of figured that maybe, like you were talking about your dog, you feed your dog things you wouldn't eat. And
yeah,
I didn't know,
taste.
Cattle and grain was different or what.
Well, I wouldn't feed my dog anything that I would be afraid to eat.
Yeah.
See? And you wouldn't feed your cattle anything you'd be afraid to eat.
Okay.
Because the grain is supposed to be clean.
Okay.
And if it's not clean, someone's got to give an account of that.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay, again, my phone number is 501-437-2963. And the mailing address is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yes, Mr. Saxon. I was wondering if you could tell me what can I use for a home remedy anesthetic besides alcohol?
A home remedy anesthetic besides alcohol. Let's see, besides alcohol. Alcohol isn't a good anesthetic anyway.
I'm just beginning survivalism, trying to learn a few things.
Well, an anesthetic puts you to sleep, doesn't it?
I'm looking for something more to, like locally numb pain.
Oh, numb pain. Well, ether is a good thing for that. I used to have ether parties when I was a bum. But, that's fantastic. In Ireland, the British got down on them real hard because they were drinking ether instead of British rum. And, boy, that'll send you away. That's fantastic. But I would not advise anyone in my listening audience to drink ether.
I know Greeks drink formaldehyde.
Well, they die from it, too. It's a deadly poison. I can't imagine what kind of kick it would give you. But, no, not formaldehyde. But you mean a local painkiller?
Yes, sir.
Let's see now. There's aloe vera. That's looking very good. Then there's liniment. But but I don't know how you would use alcohol as an anesthetic. Actually, when you drink, it might knock you out, but you're not really asleep.
Yeah.
You're in a stupor, and you wake up pretty quick, and you're just woozy. But now, when you drink ether, I'm getting on. I can't help myself because I love it. But my wife won't let me have it because when you drink ether, then you smell like a hospital for 3 days. So the only time I will drink ether is when my wife is going to be gone for several days. But anyway, I remember I had this a writer from Washington, D.C. come up. He interviewed me. And so I tried it out on him. And what I did is I got ether is, let's see, ether is engine starting fluid. All that is ether.
Yes.
See? And you mix that half and half with wine or something, because you can't drink it straight, because it's very hard. But you take like a quarter of an ounce of ether, and then you put maybe wine to make up an ounce, and you swallow that down quick. And I tell you, in just a couple of minutes, you are flying. And me and that writer was just giggling like a couple of girls. And you have fantastic dreams, and you'll sleep like a baby. But I would say don't administer this to anybody else, and I hope there's no kids in the audience that's going to do it to themselves. I'm just relating an experience. And, well, hey, look, I've been around, and I've tried all kinds of crazy things, and no one else would recommend this. I don't even recommend it. I'm just saying what it did. But the Irish did use it in the 1840s to the extent that the British really got down on them.
Yes. And I was going to make a comment. You were talking about American women not knowing how to cook. My wife's from Thailand.
Yeah.
And she can go out in the woods here in North Carolina and find incredible amounts of food and cook food that is just out of this world tasting.
Yes.
My friends come over and they're all trying to figure out where I buy all these vegetables at.
Well, my cousin married a Thai. He was with Army intelligence during the Vietnam War, and he brought her back, and now they used to have a Thai store selling all kinds of Oriental foods, and we'd shop there. We'd buy steamers and rice cookers and all kinds of great stuff.
Most of the Thai stores, if you go looking around, you can find all different kinds of drugs in them, too. They sell penicillin.
I didn't know that.
It's a good place to get medical supplies.
Yeah, well, it's a warning about penicillin is that you don't ever want to dose yourself with any kind of antibiotic except with your doctor's prescription, because they're ruining themselves in Mexico. They'll take penicillin for the sniffles.
Oh, yeah.
And that is very bad, because it just saturates your body with that stuff, and then when you get something, whatever's going to get you develops an immunity to penicillin. So it's best not to use it at all unless you really need it.
I just try to keep something laid up for emergencies.
Well, yeah, for emergencies, great, stock up, but don't use it unless you actually have to.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Really appreciate your show.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we got 2 minutes left. The phone number is 501-437-2963. And I'm waiting here for your call, and here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here. 2 minutes.
How you doing, Kurt?
Doing great.
I have a quick question on your grain mill.
Yeah?
We have a Keystone. We used to grind deer sausage stuff up. Would that work for grain?
No, the grain mill is not a sausage grinder. You ought to have a sausage grinder. Get one, no matter what.
Hey, we have one, but can you use it?
No, you can't do it. You can't use it for grinding grain, because the sausage grinder simply pushes. It simply tears the meat apart and pushes it through little holes.
Okay.
But the grain grinder compresses the grain to where it cracks up, and you put it back in again, and then it compresses it more, and finally you've got a flour.
Okay. Also, another little thing for you, little tip from you guys out there really getting into survivalism.
Yeah.
Because you can use vet supplies on people who have to, too, because they're sometimes just as pure as what you buy at doctors, usually about only a quarter of the cost.
Oh, you sure can. Only I would suggest you could stock up with them. But don't
not just use them every time, just for an emergency.
Yeah, for emergencies, yes, that's a very good suggestion. I appreciate it.
Okay, I'll bet that's good information.
Well, now, speak to me a minute.
Yeah.
So we start to run out because, anyway, how you doing?
Okay. Also, another tip. The people who buying wood for this winter.
Yeah.
Buy heads.
Heads?
Heads wood. We got a lot of heads out here in Missouri, and that stuff will store forever.
Okay.
But you don't want to use it in the fireplace because it sparks a lot.
Okay. So heads for wood, but not in the fireplace.
Yeah, but we use it in the wood stove. That's all we heat with is heads, and that stuff will, like I say, we've had stuff that's been sitting out on the ground for 5 years and hasn't even begun to rot yet.
Yeah? Oh, good. That's very good.
But I'm just trying to think something to kill time.
Okay, I appreciate it. Call again.
Okay, well, thanks, Kurt.
Okay, bye for now. Now it's sign-off time. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So this is Kurt Saxon saying goodbye and be good.